winner, winner, $5 dinner. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the 169th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we have Miss Erin Chase. She is the founder of $5 Dinners. We actually met in late October at the Entrepreneural conference held in beautiful Santa Barbara, California. I was a speaker there, and Erin was very smart. She looked up attendees, speakers, others that were attending the conference using the hashtag on Twitter, sent out a hello or whatever. We connected and we met. We hung out the whole weekend. Cool lady, great story. Turned things around for her and her family, really based out of necessity. It was also a kind of a passion of hers, at least a curiosity. Certainly to take care of her family, but there was a necessity that she tells her story just with the economic times back when she got started. But she implemented, like I say, she pulled the trigger and rode the bullet, and her success is phenomenal. That's why I want to have her on. Besides just being a cool person. But as you remember, last several episodes, I've been talking about a new way you can get over $100 in value on my sales toolkit. And all you have to do is subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and then text the word sales to 96,000 so I know that you did it and I know who you are, and we'll pick a winner every week. So again, text the word sales to 96,000 and you could be a winner. Now you're a winner of a $5 dinner with Miss Erin Chase. Erin Chase, I won't mention on the recording that this is take 2. Welcome to the Sales Podcast all the way from, where are you? Fort Worth, Dallas?
San Antonio, Texas.
You know, my mind gets warped knowing that you went to that purple school with the horny toads up in Fort Worth. So, all right. So welcome back to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. So, I deleted the earlier one. I won't say who had technical issues, but, it wasn't me. For those that don't know you, would you mind taking a minute or two, tell us a little bit about who you are, how you came to this spot in this moment in time on the Sales Podcast, and then we will dive down the rabbit hole.
So 7+ years ago, a little over 7 years ago, we were starting to feel the crunch in our personal budget with the rising gas prices in the summer of 2008.
And who's we?
We being my husband and I,
okay,
and 2 little dudes at the time.
Nice.
And I was not working. I spent, my oldest son had some trouble, and so I spent a lot of time shuttling him back and forth between physical therapy appointments and speech therapy appointments and yada yada. So I was not working other than with him, right, with my kids. Stay-at-home moms, hard work.
Yep.
Rough work.
Yep, I don't want to do it.
So the gas prices were shooting up, and we were on a already pretty tight budget because my husband's a teacher. We've always been pretty savvy with our finances, and as those prices started to go up, he had a pretty good commute to work, there and back every day, and so we needed to cut back somewhere in order to keep our finances healthy. And so I thought, well, okay, I'm not working. I'll spend a few minutes every week cutting our grocery bill in half because our mortgage was already at the lowest rate at that time. We lived in a pretty small house, had a relatively cheap mortgage for a family of 4, and no cable, pay-as-you-go cell phone plans back when those were like a thrifty thing to do. And so we already had our budget pretty well stripped down. And so this was really the last option for us to make a significant difference to offset the rising gas prices. So I started sharing like what I was buying at the grocery store and just what I was making on my personal blog. At that time, we had a personal blog chronicling my son's therapy progress for my family who was not local. And my sister was just like, hey, I could care less. I just want to hear how he's doing. I don't care what you're buying at the grocery store. Fair enough. That's not what this website was for. So I knew enough about websites to know that I could just start another one pretty easily. And so after dinner one night, I had kind of totaled it all together, and that particular like pork chops and peaches like sauteed together was like $3.85 because I got the peaches on sale and the pork chops were on special, and then I just served rice, which is super cheap, right? So just a real simple, balanced meal. for 4 for $3.85. And so I thought, I wonder if I could do this $5 dinners thing. Like, what would that mean? What does that look like? So I started $5 dinners. It was a blog spot. A website way back in the day, and I just started sharing what we were having for dinner and what our meal plans were and what I was buying at the grocery store. And I think because everybody was like in the same position I was in, the recession was just starting to hit, everybody's budgets were getting pinched out, and I was kind of this like, oh, she's doing this, I can do it too. You know, a lot of people thought I was crazy, still think I am crazy. $5 for a meal for 4 people, that's not possible. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, it is if you do it right? If you play the game, I like to say, if you kind of, play the game and rise to the challenge, you absolutely can if you start paying really close attention. And again, it's just awareness and being, really diligent and smart with how you're spending your money. In my case, what I'm encouraging people is just watching real closely while you're in the grocery store.
Well, I just go in and I have my kids pitch a fit in the middle of the aisle, and then I just take all the lobster that I can and throw them down my pants and run out. So, I mean, $5 is way too much.
You should start can we do that? Can you do that on Periscope, please?
Hey, I am renting my kids out, man. People are eating free all over town.
That is one way to play the game, and I'm not going to play it that way.
So what even led you to start sharing this story? Maybe I missed that in the beginning. I mean, a lot of people are just kind of doing their own thing. They never think, let me write a blog, let me share this online. I mean, what compelled you to even share this info?
I think because I just was so excited about it, and I still am. Like, I just love, and I didn't really realize that I was going to love helping people this much in cutting their grocery spending, right? I was super excited about it. It was almost like there were these strategies that I was learning, and then the way that I put them together, kind of how they all work together. It's almost like these little, I have a course about this. It's all the little puzzle pieces. When you put them together, you can see significant savings. And I just couldn't keep my mouth shut about it. And then when you get the emails from people saying, oh, this is our new favorite meal, we never would have thought about this, and it's perfect because of this in our family situation, right? And so you get the feedback from people is so overwhelming, as well as just, so it's kind of a combination of, I just want to help people,
right, and
seeing that it's making a difference,
right, in
people's lives is really powerful.
So, I mean, $5 in 2008 is worth $5.53 today. I just looked it up on usinflationcalculator.com.
Yeah, it's really, it's interesting is people say, can you still do this today? And yes, you can. It's the grocery prices are very similar. The baseline prices, or the non-sale prices, I should say, are maybe a smidge higher. But the sale price for a beef roast.
No, you need to change your website. It needs to be
$5.53 dinners. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll email my designer now.
No, you should do that right now. I'll go ahead and pause this
interview.
Yeah, you go ahead and buy that domain.
I should.
All right, so then you jumped on Blogspot. I know a lot of people. I mean, there's two sides to every argument. One is, let me get all my ducks in a row, pick the perfect platform, get all the integration, get all the tools synced up, then I'll get started. And then others, kind of been my world, is pull the trigger and ride the bullet. I mean, get started. You chose Blogspot. Obviously, you're not on Blogspot anymore, so you had to make a transition, right, of importing, exporting posts. But what compelled you to pick Blogspot? Did you think you were that this would grow, or did you just, was it a free tool? It was easy to use, and so you just got started there and took things as they came?
So remember, this was 2008. Yep. So there was really nothing out there. WordPress was there, but it was gaining in popularity. Right. I hadn't even heard of it. So Blogger was what I was using for my personal blogs because they were so easy to set up and free.
Sure.
And 3 weeks in, I had a Blogspot address. And 3 weeks in, I had a conversation with my husband of, I really think I should buy the .com of this. I'm already seeing so much traffic. I hadn't monetized it yet, but I thought I really need to spend the $10 to get the .com from Enom, and we didn't even have $10 to spend, right? Like, I mean, we did, but we didn't. And so it was just kind of like this, is this something we should even invest in? Even $10, right? Like when I go way back to that place, it was like, it wasn't scary because it's just $10. But at that time when we were so tight And,
that was 2 dinners.
2 dinners or 3, depending on what we were making, right? So, but seriously, like that. So I started because it was free. And then as soon as I had enough money saved from ads that I put on the site a month after that, I put ads on the site through an ad network that actually earned more than 1 cent per click, like AdSense, right? I was with an ad network. And so I think it was March that I transitioned to WordPress. So that was 6 months in, I switched over to WordPress. And that was kind of like the cool thing to do at that time. It wasn't even like I knew what I was doing. It was just like, okay, well, the gal Lisa, who redid my header, was like, we should just move you to WordPress while we're doing this. And I'm like, sure. Sounds like everybody's doing it. And I was probably pretty early on to jump ship off of Blogger at that point, at least in the world and the community that I was running in.
Yeah. Well, and it gave you more control too. So that's cool.
Yes.
You could probably put more web forms for opt-ins. And so walk us through that. How did you begin that transition to begin monetizing things? I mean, you get to WordPress, so now you have more freedom, you have more flexibility, but now you got to maintain the site, you got to maintain plugins, you got to have a server that's responsive. How do you start choosing tools for CRMs, for marketing automation? What's your first lead magnet? I mean, how did you determine that to really monetize the site and build your list?
So I didn't ever have a lead magnet. This is so anti how this works, right? I have been very fortunate, kind of going back to people think I'm crazy, but at the same time it works. I've been very fortunate to just have a lot of volume on the website, volume being traffic.
Sure.
And so I just relied on the volume of people coming to the site. I did a lot of ad networks, so smart placement of ads plus some affiliate marketing. Those were my big revenue streams. I mean, they were diversified. I had several different types of affiliate offers and several different types of ads out there or on the website. But because I was seeing 500,000, 800,000 page views a month.
Wow.
Within the first year and a half, I mean, that was enough. That was a full-time income right there. So combine that together, I didn't need an opt-in. That sounds horribly snooty and obnoxious, but I didn't. I had the email box there, and people just subscribed to the weekly recipe newsletter.
Oh,
right?
Got you. Okay.
So they were getting the articles because we post so much on the site. So
people were opting in. So I want to be clear here that you were still building a list.
Yeah. Yeah. I was building a list. It's always been an active list. I've always had great open rates, and because I'm constantly sending out new recipes, new coupons, new this, new that. So I also offer different types of lists. I did that early on, maybe 2 years in. So I have, if you want just recipes once a week, you can just get recipes. If you want just meal planning information, you can sign up just for meal plans. If you want everything every day, you can sign up for the daily newsletter. So I did offer different options for people based on what they wanted. This was before I even had heard of a CRM, right? I didn't even know what that was. I had never even heard the term before. So
what were you using back then? Like Aweber or something? Or
FeedBlitz has always been FeedBurner, and then Google Reader. Let's go way back, right? This is like vintage. So those originally, and then I transitioned, Reader went away. But I transitioned everything to FeedBlitz, which is still my email newsletters, through $5 dinners, still my service that I use. And I use it pretty well. I have it, autoresponders and all that stuff set up early on. And yeah, I think for me, kind of diversifying the different newsletters that different people wanted at that time, that was pretty much the only way to do it for me.
So FeedBlitz, I haven't really worked with, but I mean, it's like a feed burner, right? I mean, it's an RSS tool. I mean, can you actually log in and you see all of the opt-ins and all of the people?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And it's not free though, right?
No, it's tiered pricing based on how many people you're emailing or how many subscribers on your list. Yep.
Okay. Because could you email from FeedBurner? I never used it that much. I thought that was more of a syndication, just for people to be notified when updates happen to your post or to your blog?
It would come out in an email. Yeah, that's basically what it was, an RSS email. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you weren't really managing that, though, huh? It was just people subscribe, you created content and let it run, or would you log into FeedBurner or FeedBlitz and push out a newsletter?
No, I shouldn't say only. Early on, it was all RSS based, so it was pushing out automatically.
Okay.
And then I now will do, blasts through FeedBlitz for product launches.
Gotcha. And so, and I want to go back to something that people may not understand. So in the beginning, you had ads and affiliate marketing. So basically, you would find complementary services or offerings, a cookbook from Martha Stewart or something, right? And you would run their ad on your site and get paid for when people bought that, right?
Yes, and things like sign up for the Betty Crocker newsletter.
Right.
25 cents per email or something like that. So yeah, right. That and because it's similar food content, Betty Crocker's a trusted brand. It's typically known as a budget brand. It just makes sense. So anytime there were offers that made sense for my people, I will let you know about that.
Right. And that's an important point I want everybody listening to understand is that, and even as I built up the Sales Whisperer, I was a glorified affiliate of Infusionsoft. I didn't make the product. I used the product, but I built a nice business around selling and supporting something I did not create. So for people that may be struggling, may not have their own product right now, representing or marketing other things that you believe in that make sense to your list is still a very viable and lucrative way to build a stream of income without having to be some product creating guru.
Exactly. So, preach it.
Preach it, baby. All right. So now let's fast forward 7 years. How have you changed? What are you doing now in your business? Do you have lead magnets now? I met you at an Entreport conference, Entrepalooza. So are you using CRMs now? Are you segmenting your list? Are you doing lead magnets? Are you still doing joint ventures and affiliate marketing? Talk to me.
Yes, and yes.
All right.
So a little over 2 years ago, September of 2013, I shared a free printable. Right. It wasn't a lead magnet. I still didn't really know about lead magnets, right? Even in 2013. And I'm a little slow on some things, but once I catch it, I implement very quickly, as you're about to find out. So in September of 2013, I shared a printable on $5 dinners. It's still called 20 meals for $150 using ingredients from Costco. So the backstory on that is I bought a membership to Costco because their rice milk is so much cheaper than the grocery store. And my membership pays itself back in 2 months because we drink a ton of rice milk because we have dairy allergies. Okay. So once I got in there and I saw the different products and how they were priced, I sort of started doing this over a couple months. I was doing this sort of mix and matching of ingredients. This is my game, right? Mm-hmm. And so I put this printable out there. Here's 20 meals you can make, put them in your freezer by mixing and matching all these ingredients so that you don't end up with 6 cans of tomatoes sitting on your shelf for 8 months because you bought this bulk pack and you don't know what to do with it, right? So I published this, and within 1 week, it was shared from my website onto Facebook 100,000 times.
Whoa.
Okay. So I really didn't even know. I saw the traffic and I didn't understand how or why that was happening because this was even kind of before my Facebook page was big. Mm-hmm. Kind of right as social sharing like that was even coming into play. And so I was kind of like, that's crazy. And then I just kept going. I kept blogging. I kept working. I just never really even thought about it. And in January, so 4 months later, the very first weekend of January, that same page had 1 million views in a weekend. Okay, we can't. I have no idea how it went viral again. It was coming from all the traffic was coming from Facebook. We couldn't trace the origin. It wasn't something we didn't reshare it. It just did it on its own. We have no idea. We tried looking.
It's like a happy gremlin.
It was the best gremlin ever. Okay, so at the same time, I had just switched hosts, and my hosting cost, and still is tiered, right? So the more traffic you get, the more money you pay. Well, I'm like, I can't afford, or I didn't have budgeted, an extra $1,500 to pay for this boost of traffic. The site never went down, right? So I'll take the extra $1,500 cost to keep the site up. I did get a bunch of email people, right? So it was all good. So in the middle of the viral weekend, I switched it to a $1.99 printable using eJunkie. And I've never really sold anything before. And I was kind of like, what is this? I'm just going to do this because I don't want to lose money.
Yep.
And they sold like hotcakes. So because it was so much volume on the site and on the page, and for the printable, if you wanted to get it, you had to pay $1.99. I set it up very quickly. I did not do much research into store software, all that stuff. I just set it up on what I knew was there. And that was eJunkie, which was a huge mistake looking back. I lost so much. I think I did a calculation at one point because, you can pay with a credit card through PayPal, right? But when people see a PayPal button, they just assume PayPal, and so they won't pay. And based on sales since adding both credit card and whatever you call it, credit card and PayPal, since adding both and seeing the split that people choose, I think I went back and calculated that I lost somewhere between like $15,000 and $20,000 by not having a credit card option, even for $1.99 per product, right?
Well, okay. So let's hold on for a second.
So I made a big mistake in doing that, but I got it up and I made enough money to pay for hosting.
Well, okay. And you made more than $1,500, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I want people to be clear here that it was not a mistake. Okay. Maybe it was a lesson learned. Maybe it was a less than optimum choice.
Right.
But you went from giving something away for free to making a ton of money.
Right.
And yes, you could have picked a more viable option, a more profitable option. But imagine, how much would you have lost if you took 7 or 10 or 20 days researching e-commerce platforms?
Sure. Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is what most people would do. Okay. And then what would happen? So let's use this right now. We're recording this on November 12th. We just had Veterans Day yesterday. So people would be sitting here. All right. So coming up. So we've got Friday the 13th. So if somebody would look tomorrow and go, well, that's an unlucky day to do research, so I'm going to wait.
Right.
And then Saturday rolls around. Oh, big football games on this weekend. I'm going to wait till after the game, and I'm going to research that. And then, the Bengals are still undefeated. I got to watch them Sunday. And then, my kid's got a runny nose. Got to take him to the doctor. So, then, in-laws are coming. I got to start planning Thanksgiving. So that's how most people would do this.
Right.
Okay. And things would never get done. Then it would be Thanksgiving. Then it would be Christmas. And then, they would literally never pull the trigger on this. So, kudos to you for getting started. And then getting, of course. And everybody out there always wants to say just how easy it is, right? Just get your host put up. Just start accepting credit cards. It's like there's merchant accounts and there's fees and then, there's so much, But, hey, you got started. Pull the trigger, ride the bullet. That's why you're on the Sales Podcast. So, hey, you know what? That made you famous.
It might have made me famous. Yeah, no, and I've always been that way. And you'll hear, and as we dig even further, like I don't have a problem executing on things when I hear about them, right? Like that's never been a struggle for me. And I actually had a conversation with a friend recently, and I was like, why don't you have an email opt-in, right? Like if your goal is to gather 1,000 emails by the end of the year, you need an opt-in. It was nothing. And it was just like, okay, so he didn't know how to do it. He didn't know which software, I was just like, oh, pick this, do this, done. Right. So I have never had an executionary problem.
Right.
So fast forward, I used eJunkie. I did a second plan, a third plan, a fourth plan. The fourth plan that I did, which came out in August of 2014, so 8 months after that one went crazy viral. The fourth plan, totally different style, different set of recipes, same concept. I added some more to it. I added a video component. I added more to the offering so that I could charge a little bit more. These are $5, right? They're not crazy expensive, but I wanted to add more value and have a second price point. So I have the two offerings, and some of them now I have 3 different packages that you can choose from based on what you want and all the different bonuses and stuff. But so that plan also went viral in August 2014, so last year. And as soon as that post stopped going viral, I switched store softwares. So it's also painful, still putting more plans out there, still taking action, and thinking I just had eJunkie for that. That one, we saw 4 million views in the month of August on that page, or on that sales page. So, still painful to think back. Maybe could we have doubled that income from that if we had had a smoother customer experience?
Right.
And that's right about the time where I started realizing, okay, I need to stop relying on volume, and I need to be smarter. I need to be increasing my conversion rate. I need to be thinking more about the customer experience. All of that was kind of all happening. I mean, I am completely overwhelmed. I got sick because of this, like physically sick because of there were 3 weeks in September. So right after kind of the tail end of all this, I was just physically ill because of the just stress that it caused. It was a good kind of a stress, but it was intense.
Yeah, so good it got you sick. Yeah,
pretty much. But in all of that intensity, I am desperate to find a better customer experience, a better, smoother. And what I was looking for was an Amazon-like experience. Like I remember talking to my now conversions guy who's on my team now, who wasn't at the time, but we were talking, and I said, I need something that's Amazon-like. Click, click, done. And that's what we ended up finding for digital products. I only do digital products. I found something that would work based on a recommendation from Steve Chu, who you know.
Yeah.
And, that really switching to that in October of 2014, so about a year ago, really set things moving quickly. And in that transition really, I don't know that forced me, but really helped me redefine my business model for the website and for the business to be less ad network revenue based and more product sales revenue based, if that makes sense.
Sure.
So, and the timing of that was actually kind of fantastic. I didn't know it at the time, but in February of this year, so February 2015, ad network revenue across the board tanked.
Oh.
And it's still very slowly recovering, but I am not seeing the RPMs that I saw last year.
So you're saying like Google and others they're paying less?
All across the board. Advertisers are just not putting that many dollars into CPC or CPM ads because they're not seeing the ROI. So I think right now I'd have to go in and check. But last year, Q4, I was seeing $7.50, $8 RPM. And I'd have to look for October. It always gets better November, December, but I don't think I was above $3.50 RPM. Which is, that's half, right?
So people that may not know, so CPC is cost per click. So you get paid if somebody clicks on an ad.
Right.
CPM, so M is from the Latin for 1,000. So it's cost per 1,000 impressions. So basically, if nobody ever clicks, just the fact that Erin's site displays, every time 1,000 people go to the page, she'll earn money. And so can you talk about RPM?
So RPM is revenue per page. Revenue per page is, so I have 5 ad units on the page. 4 of them I earn. 5. The 5th one is for my DFP network that I work with. So I don't earn any off of that footer ad. That's their basically commission for working with me and running my DFP,
All right.
which
DFP?
don't even ask me to explain it. It's the way it's a waterfall. It's basically I have 6 ad networks competing for ad space, and the highest paying ad gets served first, and they all compete with each other. So they manage that competition of ads in different ad networks for me. So 4 of the 5 ads I earn off of. And because we see 1 million-ish page views a month, it adds up very quickly.
Yeah.
So RPM is revenue per page based on the 4 ad units.
Right.
So that's RPM. And, and I didn't know last October when I switched store softwares and really kind of started, setting monthly sales goals, setting product launch sales or meal plan launch goals. And I didn't know that the ad revenue was going to tank. And so really I wouldn't say it's flip-flop entirely because they're still both very active and still great revenue streams for me. But my focus flipped from driving just quantity to, we're going to focus on product sales. And that's where now I'm so much more focused on my email, autoresponders, segmenting, customization of the segmenting and the emails that people get. I spend a good chunk of my week both learning and implementing those strategies, even since we were in California 3 weeks ago, right? So
how much of this were you doing on your own? It sounds like you very slowly, methodically added team members, right? Were they all contractors for the longest time? Do you have any employees?
No employees. I have an EA, a VA, EA. She says she's a VA, but she's really an EA, executive assistant. She does a lot for me. And her husband is my graphic designer and coder, which is fantastic that the 3 of us just work really well together. We just get each other, which is great. And then I have a customer service guy who handles our customer service inquiries across all of my different products, because there's a number of them now. And then I have a couple of people who are just contractors who do a little social media, a little content creation. No, I don't have anybody. I don't contract any of the funnel writing, funnel setup, any of that. I've done all of that myself.
So, all right. And you're still doing that yourself?
Yes. I want to hire it out, but I'm not ready. I think it's fun. Like, I'm totally geeking out. I'm totally geeking out over the funnel that I wrote the other day for the dialoguer that I'm going to be. Actually, I've already set it up. I just got to get it all connected.
Oh, yeah? You liking it?
I do, right? Like, so talk about another thing I'm executing on that I found out about the other day from you.
Woo-hoo!
So, yeah, that's how I roll. I want to try it. I want to test it. I want to tweak it. I want to see if this is going to work.
Right.
And then while we were both in Nathan Latka's session at Entrepreneurial, and his whole idea of, the response rate being important in the future.
Yep.
So I changed my autoresponder on $5 dinners email newsletter on Tuesday night. I changed it. The very first email, the very end of the email.
Tuesday night this week or Tuesday night?
This week. Okay. Tuesday night this week, I changed it to say, what's your biggest challenge, right? Kind of ask philosophy.
Right.
This is not something this is just me engaging. I'm not going to use this data because this is just my massive email newsletter. It's not one connected to a product. And in 24 hours, I had 4 people respond to that. And I rarely get responses from autoresponder emails. Rarely. Because people know they're an autoresponder email. Right? I just changed one sentence at the end of it.
Yep.
And I have had 4 responses already in the first 24 hours.
Nice.
So, it's nice to see that these new strategies and techniques of engaging people and I responded all 4 of them this morning.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. And that's what I love. I love getting in and digging in with people and reading their stories and knowing that I can be making this difference. Can I scale that? I'm going to have to get help to scale that for sure. But it's still cool to see the strategy in action working as it's been said it will work.
Yeah. And I want to bring up, highlight a couple of points here. And, one is you're rolling up your sleeves and staying active in the business. Because it's fun, but so do what you're good at, right? And I always tell people, rarely do I recommend that a business owner become an expert in all of these types of tools, Entreport, Dialogger, Infusionsoft, HubSpot, but you need to at least be conversant in it, right? You need to understand its capabilities, its limitations. So when you do hire it out, sub it out, people aren't pulling the wool over your eyes. But if you are good at it, if it does interest you, then by all means dive into it. But would you say, is it safe to say your marketing isn't suffering or slowing down as you learn these other tools? It's actually accelerating, would you say?
Yes. So I would absolutely say that. So I launched a course in May, the Grocery Budget Makeover. I had been sitting on that URL for 4 years. I never knew what to do with it. I had several ideas, none of which I was super excited about implementing until earlier this year. And I decided it needed to be a video course. And it was going to be, like I mentioned earlier, the puzzle pieces all put together of how I shop for groceries and how I would encourage you. When somebody emails me, what do I do? Well, this is what I would tell you, except it's so much information that I can't tell you in a single email.
Right.
Because you need to do this and you need to do this and then this. There's so many different pieces to this grocery shopping puzzle. And so I put the course together from the time I signed on with Entreport in, I think I had my second concierge call with them April 15th because I was in Vegas for a conference when I had that call. And
you were hungover. Just go ahead and say it. Just say it.
I might have been. Might have been out all night the night before. So then my course opened for registration on May 8th. So 3 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah, it would have taken way too long to go back and forth with somebody to put all that together. To put the funnels together. And I wanted to learn how it worked. And now it's like, I can do it. I set one up for another business yesterday. It took me 2 hours. Affiliate program, products, order forms, sequences, survey in the sequence. Like the whole thing took me 2 hours to do.
Right.
I would rather just knock it out and just dig in and do it than spend 6 hours going back and forth with somebody and then paying them to do it. That doesn't make any sense to me. So for me, that works, right? I totally get what you're saying, though. Will I outsource some of this in the future? Possibly. But at
least you'll know what to do.
For it. Yeah. Right, exactly. And I'll expect that if I can work at this speed, and I'm not even a certified trained consultant, right? If I can work at that speed, then I'm going to expect you to do the same thing. So, which I guess works to my advantage if I do end up hiring some of this stuff out. But, it's not hurting my marketing. In the course that I launched, it was $40 for a 10-week course, 1,000 people in there.
Nice.
Well worth my time, right? So,
and tell me the URL again.
GroceryBudgetMakeover.com. It is currently closed for registration, but it will be open again. I'll open it up again in January.
Oh, nice. So why are you doing it that way?
I do it that way. I've toyed with the idea of releasing all the content at once, but it's a drip release because I want people to really think about, and I talk about this in the course. This is about long-term change and growth, and we need to go one little piece at a time. If I give this to you all at once, you will just be completely overwhelmed. So we talk the first week about this, the second week about that, and then I give you challenges and things to do when you're in the grocery store. Don't do this, do that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of it's a slow build. And I need people to be, and it's working for people. They can see after 4 or 5 weeks, it starts to come together. And then the content that I build on in the last 5 weeks is just kind of this like, oh my goodness, this is the best thing ever. And it's making a difference in the way that they shop for groceries, a long-term difference. And that's what I wanted. It's not easy to change habits and routines. And so I drip it out this way on purpose. And so I have a Facebook group component with it. And because I don't want people jumping in at any time of the year, and then you have somebody who's posting in the Facebook group about something that's happening in week 8. And then there's somebody who's in week 2 of the process. And they're like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. I wanted to eliminate any confusion there. And so that's why I open it up 3 times a year, let as many people who want to come in. And then we move through it all together. And it's a very like cozy, kumbaya, warm, cozy, happy hug kind of experience for everybody that way. And I love it too. I've 2 groups, a May group, a September group, and now I have a January group. And it's just like, everybody's all like warm and cozy with each other. It's really cool.
Well, what happens though with, you have your phase 1 people are already done, but aren't they all in the same Facebook group?
Nope. 2 different groups.
So do you have 3 groups now? So I mean, every time we have a new Facebook group?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. Got you. Very interesting.
It's cool to see like the little friendships that kind of form inside the different people that talk with. It's interesting, but it's exactly what I want. I want people to have a place to come, a support group, a place to vent, a place to share their successes, their struggles, and that's exactly what happens. And it's really cool to see everybody kind of come together and rise and make changes that are going to last, hopefully, their whole life, right?
Well, are you then having to juggle all of the other groups? I mean, what happens there? Because will they all come together like in a graduate group so they can commiserate, because it seems like eventually you could have 10, 20, 50 Facebook groups.
If you knew how many Facebook groups I was in, Wes, you'd probably cry. Just in general, I was actually looking at my groups list the other day and I was like, holy moly. No, there are 3 that I'm active in. My online entrepreneur group, and the 2 grocery budget makeover groups. And then I have a group for my $5 meal plan, weekly subscription service. So those are the ones that I am active in. And I respond either from my phone, the groups app on my phone, or when I can from the computer. I usually have slotted times for that just so I can stay focused, because we know that Facebook is a time suck, or can be a time suck. And I also feel like I have a very good, perspective or outlook on, I don't need to respond to everybody. I need everybody to help each other.
Gotcha.
I'm just kind of like the facilitator and the curator, and I'll chime in if somebody tags me and specifically asks me a question. For sure, I'm there. I'll answer it. I did several this morning, but I'm also not going to be answering every single comment or question. I might not even know the answer to it, right? And there was a commissary question the other day I didn't know the answer to, so I just let everybody, and I was like, yay for y'all, thank you.
Sure.
I don't know how to answer that because I've never shopped at a commissary. Well, regularly shopped at a commissary.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? So I kind of have this, like, I'm just your facilitator and your curator in this. And so it's not overwhelming to me to have 1,000 people in a group. They're going to just chat with each other.
No, I don't mind having 1,000 people in a group. I'm talking about you having 1,000 groups.
No, people who are paying customers are the ones that I will be most engaged with. And every now and then I get put in a group for promotion of this, that, and the other. I generally don't get involved because I just can't.
Right, but I'm saying every time you do this grocery budget makeover, you start a new group, right?
Yeah, but the May group, I set the precedent of once the 10 weeks is up, I'm not going to be in here as much.
Okay.
So in the September group or in the May group, I think I've chimed in 3 times since we were finished in July. It's not been much. I see some stuff, but then people are helping each other too. So I probably just see it and won't respond.
Right.
Don't worry, Wes. I'm going to be okay.
Hey, I'm asking more for my own curiosity, because it's like I run groups too, and it's like, do I want... I struggle with the same thing. Do I let people come in at any time? Do I do a launch and then, have it and then shut it down? And so it's, it's just it's the little details, right? Too many times people just gloss over little things, and I like drilling down to make sure. I don't want anybody listening to this say, well, he didn't cover that, so that sucks.
No, yeah. I got put in a fitness group. I am not a part of Beachbody, but it was run by Beachbody people. And I was shocked. Here's my cautionary tale to that. I had no idea. It was a running group. I run a lot. And I got put in it because I chimed in, and I met another TC Horn Frog. She ran on my trail. I ran whatever. And then it was shut down. It was gone. And I was like, I was kind of just liking getting to know y'all. And goodbye. That I don't recommend. Right. I was a user in that. I wasn't paying anything, but I was like maybe a prospect in that group, right? You could call me a prospect maybe. Nobody was really selling me anything, but I would see what they were talking about, Shakeology and Beachbody and all that stuff. But I wasn't going to buy it. But I was still a prospect in the group. And then all of a sudden it is completely gone. I think it's even been deleted. Right. And it's just like, hey, those people were really cool. Like we were interested in the same thing.
Yep.
And gone? Yeah, I don't do that. Cautionary tale, don't do that. So I just say at the beginning, okay, I'm here for our 10 weeks, and then I'll still be around. I'm still in the group, but I might not be as active. I'll totally say that. I think people know that and understand that. I don't think anybody has these expectations that Erin needs to be everywhere all the time. That's totally unrealistic. So I think you just have to tell people, I'm going to be in this group for 3 months after the close of the course or whatever.
Right.
And then you won't delete it necessarily because they have it's a community that has been built there. You can't make it go away.
Well, the nice thing too, I mean, this is only a $40 course, right?
Right.
Yeah. And, I mean, I think people have different expectations. I know some other programs, they're hundreds or $1,000 or more. And people, they're going to expect a little more access. But yeah, $40.
Then you give that access as, okay, we're going to have office hour calls, or I'll chime in when I can. I might not be able to get to everybody. You set the tone and the expectation, and then obviously you follow up on it. And I think if you can give yourself those limitations, I'm going to get to as many posts as I can. I'm getting tagged all the time. We're trying. My team's here to help now, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I think Facebook groups are designed for, I think, community and support, right? Mm-hmm. In a course situation. So if you can just be clear in your guidelines and what, giving the people giving them what to expect, you're good.
Right. And I want to go back on one thing too, because you talked about how ad revenue just suddenly plummeted. And you didn't really know that was coming, right? But you were experimenting with other things, or you were curious about other ways to monetize, and it happened to be just quite fortuitous with your timing, right?
Yes. So the more to the backstory is I had no idea that the ad revenue was going to tank like that. It really, rug pulled out from under my feet tanked. Mm-hmm. And I think February my earnings were $700 on close to 1 million page views. Really that bad. Yes. Right. We ended up having to go do all these reports, whatever. It was kind of complicated. And at the same time, a consulting gig that I had for 3 years, that paid really well, was coming to an end. And I knew it was coming to an end in March. So February, the rug gets swiped out from under my revenue in the ad revenue space. And then this consulting gig was ending. I knew it was ending for several months, but it was ending. And so I needed to make up that revenue quickly in order to maintain my team. I wouldn't say maintain my lifestyle because I don't have a crazy extravagant lifestyle. I work too much to have a crazy extravagant lifestyle. I don't know.
You had some spam in that, and it was like a silver kind of container. I mean, that was sterling silver. It's kind of highfalutin.
I know. No. So anyways, I needed to make that revenue up. And so that's why I and all of that kind of, the whole thing, I was just switching to, okay, I need to be more, like I said earlier, consistent, and sales goals and product creation. So I kind of found myself from August of 2014 until now, really, being in this cycle. It really has felt like a cycle of product development, product launch, product development, product launch, just over and over and over, all spaced out so that I wasn't overwhelming people. And now I'm in a phase, we could call it a pivot phase, maybe. If you've read The Lean Startup, we're pivoting. And so I'm pivoting into it's still meal planning related, but a different style and strategy of meal planning. And so I'm pivoting there. And it's really, I think it's going to be really cool. So, we'll see. It's a risk. It might not work at all.
So would you say then you were a little bit more reactive than proactive in making that shift?
Yes. Okay. Probably reactive, because, and I don't know if I even told you this, I I'd never sold anything before. And now all of a sudden my revenue, my business model is now a sales business model, right? Even though I'm selling really inexpensive things, I'm also selling really inexpensive things to people who don't have any money.
Right.
And so people are like, you should charge more. I'm like, if you had any idea the number of people who email me and tell me they're on food stamps, who tell me that, I can't charge more.
Sure.
My sales would drop significantly.
Right.
And so, and I want, again, this is my service. Like it costs me money to host, to run, to, all of these little services. It adds up quickly. Right. Yep. And so it's as inexpensive as I can get in order to make a little bit of a profit, paying team, paying softwares, all these things. Right. So, this is not like my get rich quick scheme.
Yep. Well, I want to go back to that though, because, like Dan Kennedy will always say, one is the loneliest number. You can't have one of anything when it comes to business. It's one of the reasons, like right now I'm sitting here, I have two computers. I've got my iMac I do all my work on, but I have a MacBook Pro sitting here. A, I travel with it, but B, it's redundant. I've had Skype not want to work. I've had a glitch here and I've had to switch machines, or heaven forbid, I'm trying to do a launch, trying to do a webinar and the machine's down. But, you don't want to have one source of revenue either. Right. You've got to be constantly looking at ways to beat your best performing ad, to beat your best performing lead magnet, your best performing launch, because things will change. And I see people like with social media, you don't own Facebook. Michael Stelzner, Social Media Examiner, 300,000 followers. He's been talking this week twice now. His page just disappeared. Yeah. And we don't have control over that. And so the same thing, like with this ad network, we don't have control over the rates they're going to pay. Right. So the market's shifting. So by all means, put it on there, but don't rely on it. Always be in control of what you're working on. And I love what you said about, so it took you a little while to learn that first phase with Entrepreneurial. Then your second time was 2 hours. So what took you 6 or 8? And I always tell people that, so the first time you're doing whatever, it takes you 20 hours. Well, the next time is 10, then 5, then 2. Exactly. It's truly exponential learning and improvement, but you got to put in that initial time. Most people, they want that quick fix, right? There's no silver bullet out there.
Yeah, one of the things that really helped me kind of overcome that, I think, was listening to a Noah Kagan on Tim Ferriss podcast. It's 2 hours long. It's painfully long because it's 2 hours, but love Noah. Tim's interviews are way too long, but out of it, I got that he has reading and research built into his week. Yep. And I've done that. And that's when I take, adding dialoguer in this week, no problem, because I have that built into my workflow already, right? Yep. I know new things are going to be coming along. I need to evaluate them, test them, trial them, research them. Is this going to work? Yes, it's going to work. Implement, done. It's already set up, right? So that's been really helpful to me, just kind of that like reading and implementing what you're reading is I think been probably the key to my success in since January of 2014. So in the last almost 2 years, that's been the key to my success, is just getting crazy about learning. And then not just learning it, but then implementing it and doing something about it. Yeah. That has probably been the key to me running as fast and furiously and having as many different, I have 1, 2, 3, soon to be 4 different paid products. Oh, nice. So that, going back to your needing more than one, right? So it'll be soon to be 4 completely different brands and products that are available for people because they meet different needs for people. So,
well, and say that you're doing this as a wife, mother of 4, runner, so just get it done, huh?
Yeah. I think it's all about balance. And I think for me, to get all like inspirational and stuff, like I've found my all. Right? Like everybody says, you can't have it all. Well, yeah, you can. I've worked for it, but I've found it. Right. And it's a balance. I have to exercise. And for me, that's running, whether it's yoga or Pilates or ab workouts on YouTube, like whatever your exercise is, you've got to move, right? So exercise, work, family. Exercise, work, family. It is literally a cycle on repeat every week.
Right.
So that's just my balance. And recently added to the balance is I have an office space that I work out of, and it's so much easier for me now to separate work and family.
Right.
Because my office is not at home anymore.
Yeah. Cool.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's not make this a painfully long interview, shall we? We'll only do half of what Noah Kagan
We'll do half of Noah and Tim podcast. That's hilarious.
Very nice. So people can find you at 5, right, the number 5, $5dinners.com.
That's right.
And everything as well. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all $5 dinners.
Yep.
Very nice. Well, Miss Erin Chase, all the way from San Antonio, thanks for being on the Sales Podcast.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you letting me share the story.
All right. It's a great story. Have a great day.
You too.
So behind every cloud, there is a silver lining, isn't there? So like she said, the struggle was real. High gas prices led Erin to creating this business that is succeeding beyond her wildest dreams and continues to grow. I mean, she is only just begun. She's a fast implementer, as you saw there, and meeting her and hanging out with her and then spending time on this podcast. I can tell you that is her path to success, is that she's not afraid to try things. She can see when the writing is on the wall. She doesn't hang on to something just because it's the way she's always done it. She's willing to get uncomfortable and try new things, and that has prepared her to handle the changes in the marketplace. And you know what? There will always be change. Facebook changed how they do things. Google's changing their algorithms all the time. Google's changing what info they give you from an SEO standpoint. You always have to be working on things. People will get tired of social media, or, social media gets fragmented. Kids in different demographics move to different platforms, then ads take over, then politics take over, and then bad events happen, so people tune out. So there's always going to be distraction. There's always going to be fragmentation. So you have to keep trying new things. I always tell my clients, you need to beat your best performing ad. That's always your goal. Look at things like Coca-Cola and McDonald's. They're always working on new ads. Geico, they're always working on new ads. Sure, they may go back to the original sometime. Coca-Cola may bring up the have a Coke and a smile. But even the Army, they've changed from an army of one, be all you can be Army strong. So when you see the big companies doing this, it gives you a little hint, a little insight that you need to be doing the same thing as well. Far too many entrepreneurs only change when it's too late or when their hand has been forced. And that's just no way to live your life. It's no way to build a business. It's no way to build a repeatable business. It's no way to build a business with recurring income and multiple income streams. And that is the goal. That's how you build security. So be sure to follow Erin. Go back and re-listen to this. And as I've been recommending lately, check out the homepage of the Sales Whisperer. Check out the new 7-step free mini course on how to get clients lining up and how you can control any sales. It's the biggest, most detailed piece of content, series of information I've ever given away for free. So get it now while you can at thesaleswhisperer.com. Be sure to share this and like it and share it with your friends. And as always, remember to sell different.